That is the intent.
Well, I could. Well, let's just say if the township doesn't use the property for fire and emergency services, the property will revert back to Presidential Lakes Fire and Rescue. So the answer is, and the answer is yes, because when the town, as Dennis just pointed out, and the council president, we wouldn't have gotten to this point without the purpose was so the township is able to do that. So the.
Miss, please come to the microphone.
Why are you so happy?
There is no time.
I don't like you're unhappy about it.
Council President, if I may, from the Office of Administration, from the words of the mouth, our plan all along has been to put fire trucks back in PL. From the first day of negotiations until tonight, that has always been our plan. We intend to put fire trucks back there. Can I guarantee you that? I've explained my version of guarantees here, and I won't do it tonight. We will do everything in our effort to put a fire truck back in that building. If that building doesn't exist any longer for whatever reason, we will have to evaluate how we can do that going forward. But we will continue to push to put fire trucks back in PL. The volunteer fire company is eager to do so. The volunteer fire department is eager to do so. And your elected officials are eager to do so. That is what our plan is, and that is what we're going to be working to going forward to do.
Okay, and using words such as plans and intentions, like I plan to one day plant a garden, and I intend to, be able to buy my daughter a car. So plans and intentions, using those words are great. But my question is, I guess,
Miss, please, can you
the
please
rest
speak
of us,
into the
well, he was talking to me, so I didn't want to be rude.
You're recording. That's why I keep asking.
Is that what? And I realize that Dennis said that he can't give a date, but what is the time frame? I mean, if you purchasing something, you got to have a time frame, a plan. What is the plan?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Is it 60 days, 30 days? 6 months,
Dave,
12 months?
after closing, how soon will the building be assessed?
There is no way to tell you a date, a time frame. This could take, it could be at the day of closing. We could walk in and say, well, this building will house a fire truck and it is suitable to operate out of, and we could put one in that day. We could look at this and say, the worst case scenario, this building has to come down. That process could be years because of all the Pinelands applications that we would have to go through to put a new building up, and the bonding that we would have to go through and the grant applications. That could be a long process. You force me into giving the explanation of guarantee. I will only guarantee you one thing. The only thing I'm guaranteeing is someday we're all dying. Everything else is a plan. Everything else of it. Well, you say you say you have a plan. You say that you're going to buy your daughter a car. That's a plan. I understand that. We have a plan. Our plan.
Can we we'll speak at one time?
I'm not asking for a definite date.
And we can't give you one.
Can we please speak at one time?
And again, we cannot give you, nobody sitting here, elected officials, can give you an estimated time as to how long this is going to take, because we don't know what we're walking into. We know we're buying a property. We don't know the condition of it. We've heard stories, some good, most bad. We will evaluate that. We will make a decision based on that evaluation. Maybe then we can come back. Please come to more public meetings, and then we can report on our findings, and that report will then be able to include an estimation as to how long it would take. But until we do an initial evaluation, we can't give you any time frame.
Okay, well, to piggyback what you just said, Mayor, it could take months, days, possibly years. What is the contract state? What is the contract state based on if that's not there at a certain amount of time, it reverts back to PL? So what is the time frame that if the firehouses are not, the fire trucks are not back in the firehouse, what is the estimate time that you all have to do what you're supposed to do before it reverts back to PL?
There is no time frame.
Oh, so it's just an open free fall.
But it's just saying it doesn't
It just
have
specifies
contract
the
contract
use.
in it.
I would think so long as the township's moving forward in good faith to establish fire and EMS services in the building, which the township will be doing, that we would meet the criteria. Let's be clear, there's no goal here to delay. The goal here is to get it done. It's just a question of engineering and construction. So there's no, and what I was just saying to the council president is that, and I know that some PL people are here, look, this is a big step forward. We took a long time to get here, and I know that the township administration's pleased we're able to reach an agreement with PL, so we're excited about moving forward. There's no negativity with this at all. It's all positive. The goal is to get the fire truck there. So, but it took a long time. It took a couple of years for us to reach this point. So it's much more, while there's some concern in the room, I mean, it's really a very positive step forward. I mean, I just want to, underscore.
And I'm not taking it as a negative. I'm just trying to get more information.
Yeah.
I'm not, my tone might seem a little, but I'm not looking at it as a negative sense. I mean, having fire trucks back in there is a positive for me, being a resident there.
And this
so
is
I'm
the
not
first step.
right, and I'm just trying to get more information.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking at it as a negative. I'm just trying to see where we are, where do we fall as a priority? What is the time frame? What is your time frame? If it's a 6 months, a 12-month process.
Well, I think the building's going to be evaluated right after closing, so that soon thereafter we'll have, once the engineer and public works or else is doing the evaluation reports back to the mayor and administrator, I mean, we're going to know much sooner rather than later what has to be done. So there's, as I said, there's no, the goal is to do it quickly. The issue becomes, we'll get the information and administration will have to evaluate what needs to be done in conjunction with the fire department. But the goal is to do it as quickly and expeditiously as possible, really, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bell, can I just say one thing to you? I'm just a firm believer. I'm going to tell you, I was going to vote no on this because I just thought that it was just a battle between certain people. After great consideration, praying, thinking how many people would be involved, consideration of Presidential Lakes. Every development in this municipality here in Pemberton have deserve protection for fire, and every development has. I use that as my change of thought. But I can assure you, me, Diane Stinney, will at every meeting, whether they hear me or don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can bring in the whole Presidential Lakes or ask them to come in. I do believe that the mayor is on target, what he's trying to say, that this is what we want. Well, this is what I want. Let me speak for me. And that we, at each meeting, or you, if you can't make it, can call or email any one of us council members and ask us, where are we now with that firehouse?
Okay.
Are we getting steps?
Okay.
Well, how about a window?
Okay.
Are we near a window? Stop laughing, Dave. Are we getting a window now? And sooner or later, somebody will get tired of us asking the question. But I do believe administration is on target. Like I said, I wasn't even going to vote for it. The records will show you that I didn't vote for it before, but I thought Presidential Lakes have always been shortlisted. We had in the recreation, we had the teen club, and we had Miss Mary Phillips when I first came on, and she was like, well, what about, Presidential Lakes? Don't we get anything? So, we want to make sure that you get exactly what we promise you. All these words that we're saying, those minutes can be looked up online, and I mean what I say, and I say exactly what I mean, that you do in that development deserve exactly what Browns Mills have, each development in this township, and that's my promise to you. Okay. I don't know if I can move a mountain, but I can pray that it gets moved.
and that's my feeling. I mean, I've been a resident in PL for almost 14 years, and I've seen things that's why I haven't attended as many meetings as I would like to, because I think it's a personal issue. And, you know, it's like going anything, if there's a personal war, it don't matter. The people that's involved in that personal stuff is going to continue. I'm a resident, so at this point, I could care less about the personal
The
stuff.
war, right.
Okay? It's done, it's over, decision's been made, conclusion. So now, okay, we are here. People that was personal in this is now to me non and void. So as a resident, I just want my just due. You know, let me know when you're going to do stuff. If I can be of any assistance,
There you go.
I have no problems with it.
There you go.
You know, but don't share me with, you know, my plans and my intentions and this, that, and the other, and just push me away.
There you go.
You know, because I pay my taxes too.
Well, I'm just grateful that Mr. Maz and the administration and all the rest of them came together. I'm telling you, God knows I am. We're regardless of whatever the situation or the differences were between who or what, I really don't, and I don't want to say another word, but I don't give a hoot. That's what I'll say, okay?
I'm going to walk away. Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
Go ahead, Miss Bell. Thank you so much. I just had to say that.
Ms. Quinn?
Good evening again. You know, I'm listening to the different comments about Presidential Lakes and their issues with their fire company, but a question occurred to me as I was listening. The building's possibly going to need some type of renovation. My question is, was any money budgeted for this year's budget to anticipate possibly starting that? And if not, where's the money going to come from to do the renovations?
Mr. Gonzalez?
There was no money budgeted, and once we determine what the cost of renovation would be, we would also be looking at what we can do in-house with our own staff. We've done that with other buildings, including BMIA, the room you happen to be sitting in, the courtroom. So we would look to see what we can do with in-house staff and what, if anything, needs to be contracted out. So we will have to identify a source of funds and ultimately bring, if it requires outside contractors, we will probably do a request for proposals and ultimately public bidding and come before council. At that point, when we come before council, we will have to identify a source of funds. So we wouldn't have known what to put in the budget because we didn't know that we were going to come to this agreement, and then two, we don't know what it is that we need until we get in there. So.
My only concern with this is I'm all for fire trucks down there. When I started looking at houses to move out here, Presidential Lakes happened to be my first development to look at. It's important that they get their fire department, but you know, you guys are sitting here getting ready and introduced an ordinance for $1 million bond. And my concern is, you know, once the township knows what they need for this building, I mean, I get it with the in-house people and doing as much as you can on your own backs as opposed to paying somebody else, but my concern is our taxes keep going up and we don't have an economic base to get any kind of return. So for the sake of, you know, I don't know if there's grants out there, if there's money from the state that we could get where we don't have to pay it back, but again, we have no economic base and taxes are being raised, but there's no finished product. And I have to say, you know, having a specific timeline, I get that you can't, but I mean, like, you know, when is this settlement supposed to take place, by the way? I'm just curious.
Well, the ordinance, if approved, goes into effect by law 20 days after it's advertised, so it won't go into effect for about 25, 30 days.
So sometime in July then?
We'll close, right, this is early June, so we'll close probably sometime in July, but there's some, yeah. I mean, it depends a little on PL as well, but yeah, that's the goal.
And just one other question I have with regard to this. There was an indication, or my understanding was you may not have to get the Pinelands involved, that it only they only get involved when it comes to demolition, but wouldn't they still be involved if there's certain types of renovations? I mean, I know it's an existing structure, but, you know,
I think if
the
you're
Pinelands get
if
itchy
you're-
sometimes.
I think if you're within the existing footprint, or existing building within the footprint, you're okay. I mean, I'm not a Pinelands expert, but I think that's generally the rule. So if you rehab the building, you're not extending it by, for instance, I don't think you need Pinelands approval, so.
Thank you.
Public comments for this ordinance are now closed. Council, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 10-2015?
I have a question first.
Let's go.
The building's only been closed a couple of years, and the township was providing funds for the building up to that point. So I'm a little concerned as to why we feel that building might be in as bad shape as what we're hearing. You understand what I mean? It was used, trucks came out of that building 2 years ago. It's been closed down. I don't understand why there's such a big discussion about trucks going back in that building in a short period of time. And we were providing money every year to help maintain the building. So I'm hopeful that it's not going to cost us a lot of money to get our vehicles back in there. So it's more of a statement than a question, I guess.
Good statement.
Still need a motion.
Council, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 10-2015?
I motion to adopt ordinance 10, 2015.
Second.
Amy, please hold the council.
Ms. Trueblood? Yes. Ms. Skull?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Ms. Stinney?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Solicitors report.
I have nothing for the council this evening.
Mayor and business administrators report.
Mr. Council President, I do not have anything for this evening.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay.
One of our residents stood and inquired about Woodland Ave, if it's included in the road paving for this year. Could we get a response for that?
I'll provide that in the morning to Ms. Kozlowski.
Okay, thank you.
Jason? Excuse me, Mr. President. I have a question to council. We have our public comments coming up, and I was just wondering, in the past, we tend to be here quite often and quite long with comments. I was just wondering how the rest of the council felt about limiting time-wise for public comments. It's just a question I'm putting out. Andy, I don't know if that's legal or not.
It is legal. Lisa, you may want to wait just kind of just out of order in the meeting.
Oh.
to
Oh, I'm
have this
sorry, I thought we was
discussion.
at public comments.
Well, you are. You're a general.
Okay.
Well, unless there's other questions for the mayor or administrator, but
No,
yeah.
no.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll just say legally.
Lisa, hold that thought, and we'll go to general public comments.
So wouldn't it be done before they talk?
You'd have to amend your bylaws.
Got it.
Mr. Moss.
Just a question.
Yeah, no, but she can still make a comment.
Thomas Maz, Ohio Terrace, Presidential Lakes. Trustee, Presidential Lakes Fire and Rescue Squad. Let's do a few comments here during the public hearing. As I said earlier, I had a whole lot to say that I didn't want to say during the public hearing.
I'm sorry, excuse me, can you put the mic up so we can hear you better? Thank you.
I didn't want to say a whole lot during the public hearing of the ordinance because I did want to see that ordinance pass. A couple things that were in there. Just so everybody knows, Presidential Lakes Fire and Rescue Squad actually provided fire service to Presidential Lakes in the community since 1963, not emergency medical services since 1980. We've been going through litigation with this township now for 2 years, 3 years. There's been numerous settlement offers made that weren't accepted. They were accepted by us, because we proposed it. There's a lot of personality. Tom Oz was not the personality. Tom Oz was the player on the other side trying to settle it. Okay? We were prepared to sit this out. We were prepared to fight this, to continue going, whether we had a lawsuit or not. Okay? We were hit with an $18,000 a year tax bill. No problem. No money? Let it go to tax sale. Boy, that buys us another 3 years before they can foreclose on the property. Okay? We could have refinanced the property. There's a lot of different avenues we could have taken. But after 2 years of trying to make settlement offers with this administration, we said enough's enough. Let's do what's right for the residents. The presidential legs sucked it up, and we did what's right for the residents. Okay? Now it's up to the residents to hold you all accountable for it. Because, as you all probably know, Tom Oz is moving. Spent 20 years in this community. Some good. The last 5 or so, terrible. Why? Because Tom Oz started having a voice and saying things. Okay? Again, we have decided that for the residents' sake, the morally right thing to do is enter into an agreement with the township that calls for the township to utilize the property for fire, emergency services, and township recreational activities. We only hope that the township will now do what is right for the residents and honor the terms of the agreement, which I understand we will not see until after the ordinance was passed tonight. That's fine.
Wait a minute, are you saying you haven't seen the terms of the
Oh,
agreement?
I saw the terms of the agreement. We signed. We haven't
Oh,
seen the
okay.
signed copy back to the township that they were accepted.
Oh, okay.
Tom, the mayor can't sign till the...
No, I understand that. Andy, Andy and I have had numerous discussions, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Once we get all that back, there was question about closing. As we know in the agreement, there was talk of 45, 90 days, whether we go that far or not, because, like you said, we have 21 days before the ordinance can be, 30 days. You know, so realistically, it might be 15 days after the ordinance.
Yep.
There were some things that were, legal things there that, we won't get into as far as settling this up, but, sadly, just to be clear, that because you create an ordinance, it's not a done deal yet. We only hope that it will be. Remember, we did not do this for me. We did this for the resident. Had a little concern when I heard our mayor standing in the back there asking a question about, is the deed restricted? Yeah, it's deed restricted. That's what I'll be watching from afar, as I will be the one coming back to New Jersey to sign that deed. Okay? So I will be watching. Please, do what's right for the residents of Presidential Lakes. Get them their fire trucks back. As Sherry said, it was only closed a couple years ago. Yeah, there's some roof leaks. Okay? What we call the tender bay or the bowling alley on the far left-hand side of that building is solid. We've offered that in previous settlement agreements to put fire trucks there. Honestly, I don't see a reason why. Fire trucks can't get back in that community in a very timely manner. The rest of the building, yeah, it needs renovations. Yeah, it's going to cost the taxpayers money. But you know what? Spend that money for the taxpayers to give the residents of PL what they need. Thank you.
But Tommy, I want to say to you, I thank you for your comments. I'm very sorry that you and your family packed up and headed out.
Oh, we're not. We bought 12 and a half acres before North Carolina. We're going to go enjoy life.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just glad for the years that you've given. I'm glad for the time that you've given this township. And I know sometimes people don't be on the same accord, and it's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I say it all the time. You're truly entitled to your opinion. But thanks to you and the services that you've rendered for the many years here in Pemberton Township.
Mr. Tompkins?
Not only to Tom, but to Tom's wife, too. She's put a lot of effort out in that community. And, we met under not the best of circumstances, and I still appreciate your efforts and your kind words, and Tom. So good luck to you. Sorry, Jack.
That's fine. Jack Tompkins, Pemberton Heights. Again, I think it's great that you folks acquired that building. I'm hoping that we can get fire crews out there, not only the trucks, but personnel to man them. I think that's the best thing in the world. Mr. Allen, thank you very much for giving me the heads up on why the chief isn't here tonight. I do have concerns still about the speeders in my area. Another concern that I have is what was mentioned at the last meeting. Of the 57 officers we have on the police force, I guess we have 10 of them out. And that's one of the justifications or reasons why some things are lacking in the township. And one of the first things that jumps to mind is, why hasn't somebody approached the council or administration requesting something to help bridge that deficit? I'm not a police officer, I'm not a manager in the township, but you would think if you have 1 out of 6 people out, you would want to take care of that. And it seems to me, as a taxpayer, complaining about speeders and everything else, well, we're 10 people down. We're just going to have to suck it up and live with it. Public safety, that's unheard of. That's just totally unheard of. And I'm sorry, it's inexcusable. Heaven forbid something happen. But I'm still waiting to see what the chief says. I also had a couple of notes here. I just want to give you a couple of items, food for thought. I know it's not public comment, but I'm still going to give you food for thought, okay? You heard me during the budget comments, or budget hearings, and this $1 million bond come up. I was against it then. I'm very, 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 very much against it still. You folks supposedly have a list of what we're looking for to shop for, to buy. But as our previous budget has shown, that's a blueprint for what we're going, budgeting our money for. And you have this $1 million bond where you think you're going to buy a steamroller or this and that. Our last budget called out for a K-9, and we've been informed that there's a good chance we're not going to get the K-9, but you've already allocated the funds for that. So when you get this bond, you're giving them $1 million on the premise that they might be spending the money, but they're going to spend it however they want. That's been proven already in this town. And when you're talking $1 million, I'm sorry, that's a bit of change that I have heartburn with. I think this should have been budgeted, or I think it should have gone out to a vote. The way you're handling this, I think, is very, well, not you folks, but I think the way this is being handled is very inappropriate. And then to say that we're almost out of money for asphalt already, that's bad budgeting. That's just bad budgeting. If you're already out of money and we just passed the budget 2 months ago, somebody wasn't doing their job, period. And if they need more money, we just got $67,000 freed up from the dam project. Funnel that into asphalt. Don't be going borrowing another $1 million. That's my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Tompkins. Seeing no other...
No, you got a hand in the back.
And you have Mrs. Phillips.
Ms. Maldonado. Ms. Maldonado, and then Ms. Phillips.
Dimpy.
I love the Mets.
A couple more days.
I'm just happy to see a Mets. No comment.
It's the local Mets, not the...
Hello, Terry Maldonado, Board Liaison for Pemberton Township Schools. Okay, Mrs. Stinney, you asked me to find out about information for a farewell for Dr. Gorman.
I did receive the information.
Did
Thank you very
receive it?
much.
Okay, but I want to make it public anyway in case anybody doesn't know.
Okay.
Okay, tomorrow afternoon we will be doing an event from 4 to 6:30 p.m. at the Pemberton Township High School Library. And also on June 19th at Deerwood Country Club. If you would like to attend, please contact Mike Pinto. He has all the information you need, and you need to RSVP by Monday, June 8th. Okay, something you may not know. Saturday, across the street, we are doing an opening ceremony for a day at the park. We're inviting all Pemberton Township residents to come out and line up at the ball field and watch the kids play ball. We will be having a couple special guests. We'll be having Dr. Gorman. We'll be having the new superintendent as of July 1, Mr. Anthony Tragone. Will be out there and he will be throwing out the first pitch. We will have ROTC doing the colors. We will also be having the Pemberton Township Hornet. And then we will also have a pitch, hit, and throw competition for the kids. Of course, my little T-ball guys can only do the pitch and hit. But you're more than welcome to come out. It starts at 10:30 a.m. We will parade the kids onto the field. And then from there on, after that, we're going to do baseball and have our little competitions and call it a day.
So it's 10:30 a.m.
10:30
for
a.m.
the,
Saturday
for like kind
morning.
of grand opening, and then they'll follow on
Yes.
suit with their...
Well, because Sherry decided to have her spring fling the same day, so we had to kind of push our time forward a little bit.
Dr.
Yeah,
Gorman
that
will
was
be there too,
decided
right?
months
Dr.
ago.
Gorman
We
will
knew
be there,
they were
yes.
gonna do that.
He's going to be asked to step out on the field, and so will the new superintendent.
No, I mean at the spring fling too.
Oh, yeah, he's coming too.
Dinner.
That's why we had to push our time forward to make everybody available.
Busy day.
Okay? So, yeah, we got a busy day going on, but please come out and join us.
And I have to be in New Brunswick that morning, so I'll miss the whole thing with the ball kids.
Oh, well.
I'll make it up next year.
I'll be there for as far as the parade and under the field, but then I'm going to Sherry's event.
I will be there as well, and Saturday morning, as a matter of fact, I'll be down in Gloucester. I have to zoom back here. Deacon Bailey, where'd you go?
He left.
They left you.
About
See that?
20 minutes ago.
Okay.
Well, Deacon Bailey's being honored.
Oh,
8:30 in the morning, so I have to trot down there and get back up here for the 12:30 the dinner or luncheon or whatever it is. Yeah, so I will see Dr. Gorman that night. But Terry, thanks so much, very, very much.
So everybody,
You have good media service. I mean,
Thank
they
you.
get right to the point.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for keeping us posted.
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
And for wearing Mets gear.
No.
That's the local thing.
No, it's Mets colors, man. It's New York Mets.
Good evening, everybody in general.
Good evening.
I got a question for the president for the council. Mr. Allen, where did you find that out with all the millets and canonic roads? The administrator stated to me that he was not aware at the time the night I brought the problem he was going to look into, and I've been brought the problem for most months.
the millings.
The
yeah.
millings. Administration did not provide a response to that yet. Would you happen to know, Mr. Gonzalez?
I'm not entirely sure I understand what the issue is
Okay,
and how it is that I can help.
okay. I live on Tennessee Trail. I live in the 100 block. Between the 300 and Canadic Trail and Florida Trail, you got a road there. It's owned by the township. And when they were building those roads, Florida, Tennessee, and New Hampshire, they brought all the millets and all those chemicals are piled up in your properties.
Okay, now I understand. It's the millings from
Is correct.
They were piled up. I'll find out and provide the answer by Friday to the council.
Because this has been taking place since last August when they started working in those roads. And prior to that, when they did Kentucky Trail also with the other company. And since that time, we all, you know, that we have wells in Presidential Lakes. And all these chemicals are seeping to our waters and our wells there. That means our administration got to take in consideration not to find it out by Friday to yes, I brought it up to their attention for a while. And I've been waiting and waiting. In that case, where I stated to the council last time, I will call myself DEP, and I will call the newspaper company or the reporters. You have to give me a date.
Ms. Phillips, I saw Dennis taking notes, and he said he would give us a response by Friday.
I will call the administration by Friday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon before you guys say goodbye.
At 1 o'clock sharp?
Between 1 and 2 I call.
Sounds good.
I'm not going to spend my gas. I may just go and receive bad news anyway. Okay, now in the roads. I know they haven't been in checking those roads where they built it up last year. I complain about it, all the stones and everything they left. Other companies don't do that. When they build their roads, everything is nice and clean. When people walking, But when I do my lawnmower, my cutting, my grass, everything, I rake everything from my property to you guys' property there. I did not bring the mess. You people put it there. Guess what? Something happened. Somebody go and pay the pipes. Okay, and the police. I did not hear anything tonight in reference to the chaplains. I did not hear anything in reference to the K-9. And we got all this money they go and borrow. But they can have money for just buy those empty buildings in Brownsville. They cannot even if they give a chaplain to the police department or to the community.
I thought at the last meeting, Dennis said the chief said they didn't have enough extra officer to train for the K-9 right now. Something to that effect. Does that sound right, Dennis?
Yes, and we'll be reevaluating sometime in September, I believe, or October.
Right. And that came from the chief, right?
Because there is more officers will coming up on the picture. I know there are new officers in school. Right now, the new officer when they coming out from school, as I was in school in the past myself, you are a new kid on the block. For a long time, you got to ride with somebody else. You cannot make no decisions or anything.
Right.
For that, you cannot counter that officer on the road.
Right. So we have to just wait a little bit.
Well, I wait until September and see what happened. But what happened with the chaplains and then?
When I asked the mayor, Dennis helped me, when I asked the mayor that he received more letters and they were going to set up a meeting for the chaplain, with the chaplains, is that correct?
The meeting may have already been established, I don't know.
Okay.
I will check and I'll let the clerk know tomorrow. But an effort was being made to find a date on which all of the interested persons could make it. It appears that that's going to be hard, so we will pick a date where nearly all of them can make it and then follow up. But I'll let the council know if a date has been set.
You said nearly all of them. It sounds like we're getting a pretty good response.
The response, it's somewhere between 6 and 8.
Okay.
You know, it could be 6, 7, or 8. I don't know exactly. Something may have come in since I last asked about it.
Okay, the road on Chocato Trail in Browns Mill Country Lake. I know they haven't done anything in there, and it's time for the kids to go fishing. The people park their vehicle there. They may just be parking in the water because there is no guard rail and nothing in there.
We talked about that today too, right? There's something was going to be wooden, what do you call them? Barriers? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
The guardrails?
This is at one of the new dams. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. There's going to be wood fencing put up, and it's going to be done by our Public Works Department. We did inquire of the contractor of the dams for a price to add it to the contract, but the price was excessive. So we will be working with Public Works to put the railing. I think we need to let the grass grow a little bit so as not to destroy it, but it will be taken care of.
And you're right, it is dangerous, so.
Okay. Today is June the 3rd. That means I just hope that in 2 weeks when I come in here, I will get answer or I will call. Now in reference to the fire departments. Presidential Lake has been a taxpayer for fire services for a long time, day by day. And when the people ask me, why do you guys don't have no fire service? You know what I answer to them? You live in Presidential Lakes? Call the mayor, call the administrator. We don't close fire companies. The mayor stated in the past to me. But you know what? That's a lie too. They did it in a very sneaky way when they closed that. But I just hope that we, on behalf of my resident Presidential Lakes, for this day on it, when the deal goes through, all our fire trucks coming back, regardless who's going to run it. Because as a taxpayer, I'm paying for those trucks. And they were new. They were not junks either. I know what they look like too. And I will decide it. I'm not decided yet. if I join Pemberton Township Fire Department back
We hope you
For-
join, Ms. Phillips.
for what they did? You don't do that to people, special residents. Okay, let me just think about it for a second. I was going to say something else. Oh, in reference, when they took the ambulance away, I found it out, walking every day, talking to two residents who they lost, two members of their families, because Pemberton Township decided to take the ambulance away from Presidential Lake. Unsuccessful, that person lost her husband, even when they took her in the chopper. Another resident on California Trail, unfortunately, died the same way. Because why? Negligence in our township. They take the taxpayers' money, but they don't put nothing back to us. And I be honest with you, standing up in here, for this day on, I will fight for every single thing to come to Presidential Lake, because a community center, every single community in here got their community center. People probably get tired, they hear me saying, but you know what? My kids are growing up, I'm fighting for the residents. And I hope that you bring a community center for all the residents in there. And I leave it that way. See you in 2 weeks. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Ms. Quinn?
I'd like to give the council a little more food for thought, because here's the thing. A lot of us were concerned about the increase in taxes and the new budget, which, despite the residents not wanting the budget to be passed in the form that it was passed, you guys decided on your own, despite the outcry from the residents, to pass it anyway. Here sits the $1 million bond to purchase equipment and other various things for capital improvements. The administration wants to purchase a new roller so it makes the product look better. We purchased, or we are in the process of purchasing, the 2 or 3 properties on Lakehurst Road for demolishment and development into a shopping center or a community center. I keep seeing money go out of my pocket, and I said this before and I'll say it again. You guys keep saying to us residents, we have a plan, we have a plan. Just wait, just wait. I've been living here 15 years. This $1 million bond makes me sick to my stomach, because we put our trust in you to make the best possible decisions for all the residents of the town when purchasing whatever the town needs to function. It's kind of a scary thought to listen and see and hear comments of, we purchased equipment before. It's not necessarily the wrong equipment, but we can't make do with what we have, but we have to have a new roller to make it look better. Now, mind you, I'd like things to look nice too, but if the cost of the equipment outweighs the value of the equipment, it's a mistake. I don't know what $1 million looks like. Really, I don't. My life goes on the way it is, but I deal with it every day. Money is going out of here faster than I can run a mile, and that ain't fast. And every time I listen to you guys and you approve things, despite the outcry that we don't want you to, I don't want to be old and gray before something finally gets done. I really don't. I want to stay here. But, again, we have an economic base problem in this town. There's no jobs. There's no businesses. We don't market the town to bring outside people in. There's other towns that do all kinds of festivals. Now, mind you, we have the Blueberry Festival, and I believe we have something to do around cranberry season. But other than that, there's no marketing of the town to say, hey, here's Pemberton's history. I'm not against paying my fair share of taxes, but this $1 million bond scares the crap out of me. I'm still struggling to make ends meet. I just got told my medical insurance premiums are going to go up again. Now, mind you, you don't have control over that, and I understand that, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm at the deepest part of my pockets now, and I just want you guys to be a little more forceful, because you as council and we as taxpayers, and you are taxpayers too, have a right to have a little bit of a better description of things as to when things might get done, instead of we can't give you a definite date. To not have some kind of a plan or an idea of a plan before you come forward asking the taxpayers to take on something, that's what I see. We won't have a farmer's market this year because from what I'm read on the website, there wasn't enough interest. I think it comes down to marketing. And I've said before, I'd love to volunteer my time. I lived here 15 years. I'm not, this town can be something that it was when I first moved here. So, please reconsider this $1 million bond. I know it's in the budget, but do we really need this equipment? If we're doing the job now with what we have and it's not broken, do we really need it? I would like $1 million for myself. I'd like to have a lot of things, but I have to ask myself every day, what do I need to buy first before what I want to buy? We pay a lot of taxes in this town. We have a lot of problems. And the open-endedness and things and the comments that I hear, because contracts are open-ended and there's no definitive, at least from what I can understand, there's no definitive language or no definitive deadlines for certain things. We keep hearing it's going to happen. Going to happen doesn't cut it. And again, I don't have much more in my pockets. You guys have to start showing us something. You keep taking, but I don't see anything in return. Please, 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 in 2 weeks, we're going to come up here again and talk about this bond. But everything is the same. If we need the equipment, it's one thing. If we don't need it, and it's for aesthetic appearances, then we don't need to buy it. And we don't need the bond for $1 million. If we need it is one thing. But because they want it, because it'll make the roads look better, again, we have to have nice roads so people want to come here for things. Right now we don't have anything, but I don't know that we need this piece of equipment, or any of them for that matter. And the final question I have with respect to Firehouse Road and Split Rock Trail. That dam is done. And at the time, between the speed bumps, the road was so bad, the township was kind enough to come out and do an overlay, which has, over time, since being put down, has started to deteriorate again. Plus, there's some sizable potholes that are now appearing in other places. I guess my question is, you guys are talking about paving roads. What is the time frame to have that road properly paved, meaning Firehouse Road and Split Rock from the end of Split Rock all the way out till it changes into Wissahickon Trail. I mean, is that, what I don't want to see happen is the dams are finished and it's a year or two later before the roads are paved, because it's only going to get worse. So if I could have some kind of a time frame as to when that road might be completely and correctly paved, those two roads, because I got to come down both those roads like a lot of people, and I've already had to do work on my car last week to the tune of $500, so a little help would be appreciated.
Mr. Gonzalez, are you?
We should be able, the road program is something that we should be able to estimate, assuming that we get the asphalt authorized. So I will assuming the asphalt is authorized, I'll be able in the next day or so to ask Public Works about where it is on the list. I believe it is on the list for...
I just question though, is the asphalt tied to the $1 million bond? Do I...
Part of it.
Seems like it.
Part of it is.
I will talk to Public Works about the road that Mrs. Quinn is talking about, but the dams need to be completed first in order. So, and as we've indicated in the past, one of the dams is just about done, and the other one should be done at the end of the year.
I'm going to throw a party when the other one's done at the end of the year, because that means I get to drive through instead of around.
At the end of the year, there'll only be one dam left to do, and that would be number 2, wherever. They'll all be done? Okay. I stand corrected.
Get paved. I don't think there was plans to pave the road before the dams were finished.
No, and I understand that, but I'm just saying, you guys are talking about paving roads, and I'm curious if those roads are on the radar. I have to think that there's money in the budget somewhere else for this asphalt, because again, $1 million bond, and to say what they needed as part of the money to purchase the asphalt, I'd be asking you guys to go through the budget and find out if there's any, because it seems like every year, we have monies left over that we don't spend that go into the new budget. And mind you, I don't know how much asphalt costs, but please don't tell me you don't have money in the budget now to get the asphalt, and not that now instead of off the backs of this $1 million bond, which scares the crap out of me. The money's got to,
Mrs. Quinn?
Yeah?
I hear everything that you're saying, and I do empathize with you. When you're talking about the road program and how we don't need the money or we shouldn't do the bond, you just said that the road needs to be completely paved. You have potholes and stuff. I think what I'm reading here, we have to get more equipment. You want the roads done properly, but you're saying that we shouldn't agree to do this bond to get the equipment to make sure that the roads are completely done and make sure that the roads have the proper equipment or better equipment to keep those roads done. Understand, I hear what you're saying, but we can't have it both ways. We can't want our roads and everything completed without, trying to get more equipment or better equipment or proper equipment, however you want to put it, to get that stuff done.
I understand that, but what I wanted to stress to you is that if we have road equipment now that is doing the job, and the explanation of this roller piece of equipment is to make the roads look better, having something look better for the sake of appearances. Now, I've seen the roads that the township has already paved, and they look nice. My question is, do we need this particular piece of equipment? If it's only to make the roads look better, but we're already doing with the equipment that we have,
okay,
that's what my concern is.
You also have to keep in mind that there's 4 things in this ordinance that we're looking to purchase. And as the mayor said, and as Mr. Gonzalez said, they could come back and say, well, we don't need the dump truck. right now. They cannot buy anything without bringing it back to us for approval. This $1 million bond that we, as council, approved is, if I'm not mistaken, just an introduction to do it. They still cannot buy anything, any kind of equipment, no matter how much they want it, unless they come to us. So us approving it just gives them the step, if I'm correct. If I'm not correct, please somebody help me out, to go to the next step. But if we don't do this, we can't go to the next step to do anything.
Yeah, Lisa, you're correct. 'Cause
Does
you
that
would
make
have
sense?
to have, to make any purchase, you have to be able to certify funds are available. So this
Right,
just-
so us approving it does not say we're doing it today or tomorrow. It's
Yeah,
just...
Yeah, but
doesn't
if
even
you,
mean the
but
next
if you
step.
approve the ordinance for the $1 million bond,
You don't
then
issue
that
the
gives,
debt right
then that
away.
gives, what?
You don't issue the debt right away, you only issue it if you need it. It just gives the authority to issue the debt. So when they come back to council, if they want to purchase whatever, they would have the ability at that point to access the notes or do notes or eventually a bond. But you're not, they approve the ordinance, not issuing $1 million worth of bonds like the next day. They wouldn't only do it after, right, Dennis? Is it?
Yeah, that's correct. Ultimately, it's what you would have to certify as a source of funding when we come to the council to authorize a contract to purchase the asphalt or to purchase the truck or to purchase the finish roller. And I would ask Mr. Council President, if I may, let's not focus on one of the pieces of equipment, the finish roller. The finish roller is a piece of equipment that will not be available even if it's authorized through the bond ordinance and the council contract, is not going to be available for some time. The idea is that the finish roller will enhance the quality of what we already do. The quality of what we do is tested every day and has been evaluated by our engineering firm, ARH. And they have sat here when they were coming here to the meetings and said to everyone that the quality of the work that was being done by our public works employees rivaled the quality of work that was being done by the private contractors out there for not only our projects but all projects. I would say take a look at Pemberton, Browns Mills roads. I think our folks could have done a better job, to be honest with you. But, so let's not focus. This $1 million, the roller's not going to cost $1 million. Give or take a few dollars. Roughly $500,000 of this $1 million is for asphalt and other materials, including drainage materials for repairing drainage issues. So half of it is for the materials to do the projects in-house with our current equipment. The other major purchase in here that we're talking about is an additional dump truck, which roughly speaking costs about $150, $155, or maybe now $180. When we bought the other two, it was $148 each. And the idea is that, as the mayor indicated, that we are so far from an asphalt plant that oftentimes our employees have to sit around waiting for the next truck to come. And if we had a third truck available to pick up the asphalt, we would have them working for an entire day without stopping except for lunch and the other things like that, and be able to produce more linear foot of road for the time that we have, rather than have to wait for an hour and a half for the next truck to come. That's what this is for. Without this funding, especially the funding for the materials, without this funding, the road program stops in about 3 or 4 weeks. And if it stops in 3 or 4 weeks, we're still paying our employees. And we're either going to have to find something for our employees to do, or then we're going to have to ask, do we have too many employees? We've already invested roughly $700,000 in equipment to create a road program that wasn't intended just for last year or for this year or for next year. It's for the long haul, so that the township can have roads that are better than they are now, that are where they have fewer potholes, and we can address issues because we have the capacity to do it quicker and more effectively. So that's what this is for.
Ms. Quinn, maybe I can help you or, just assure you or something, if you don't mind, Jason. To pass this bond, it takes 4 of us council members here.